do not summon. Do not summon. Save your tickets. Do not summon. That is pretty much the thing that I've been preaching of, and obviously doing my best to kind of keep you guys informed. Now, at the end of the day, it is the temptation, because right now we are going to be getting a decent amount of tickets being given away through logins, rewards. Right now there's an event going on, and immediately you see tickets, you get that temptation, especially now more than ever because of this little beauty sitting right here. And of course they added Alicia, so there's that. But the temptation is there for a lot of us to kind of, you know, summon, waste our tickets, and not be prepared for the next update. Now, obviously with myself, as you guys can see, I'm practically at the rate up, and the amount of temptation I am trying to hold back, it isn't like I really want to hit this button right now, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to, because the next update is catering to wind. And well, if you look at the wind weapons, what do the developers have to, well, what have they got to go up against? Because at the end of the day, you got to remember that with the weapons that they're introducing, in a way, they have to kind of make it a bit of more, well, make it more incentive to what we have already. Now, obviously with, oh, wait, I just realized all the new weapons that came out through banner-wise are all at the top line. Oh, this is perfect. But the west wind right now, because I mean, look, if you look at all the weapons, I mean, the longsword, I understand, isn't getting much love, even though developers are doing their absolute best to buff it. But in terms of high amount of damage, quick burst amount of damage, it's the west wind. I mean, as I always say, they kind of shot themselves in the foot in the way they kind of decided to go about building this weapon. It's ridiculous on the power that this SR weapon possesses in a short amount of time. On top of that, obviously by now a lot of people should have it duped out, and then the fact that if you land a crit, it basically makes your cooldown 1 second. That's basically back-to-back 10 mil shots. Like, you know, you're always going to be catering to this weapon, and so through that, every other wind weapon that has been introduced into the game, or wait, no other wind weapon has been introduced, but basically every other wind weapon is basically just voided, like completely voided. I mean, you got the dagger, which is not too bad in terms of supporting the west wind through the crit rate buff. But I mean, right now, if people are catering to the crit stat or the crit build, then if your rate is well enough, then you can kind of cater to applying other means, because of course the plum sword is pretty much the go-to overall weapon that you set up with other weapons, of course. Now, again, coming back to a new wind weapon being released for the next update, the reason why I'm doing my best to hold back the temptation to waste my tickets and prepare for the next update is because they've got the west wind to fight against, right? You're releasing a new weapon, and I'm sorry, if it's not going to be anything close to what the west wind is possessing, then it's not going to get as much screen time as you would like it to. For example, I'm not going to take into consideration the Moonshadow Dagger weapon. This came out during the soft launch time, and I mean, I heavily wanted it. I mean, it was the first new weapon. It looked badass. A decent amount of people were trying to get their hands on it and whatnot, but for the most part, everyone was kind of leading towards the global release. This was the new weapon, first ever for global release, and not many people were interested because the Grimoire was still outshining it. It was a good weapon, but realistically not a weapon that we really kind of needed. So for the most part, this was unfortunately passed upon, and even till now, the Grimoire is still, you know, better. But it was only up until recently that the developers showed their true colors in producing a weapon that is just non-stop damage. Now, granted, you need it kind of A5 to be in that position, but still, in terms of being A1, A0, it's still putting out a good amount of damage, of course, to the point where it is now the front of the fire attribute weapons, of course. Because, I mean, keep in mind, well, then again, the fire attribute right now did really needed something, because, I mean, I'm not impressed with Vulcan's Rage, and the Eye of Sauron Loki is kind of doing its thing, although over time the damage of it all does kind of go down, because you are losing out on your what's it called, the is it the Purgatory? Yeah, the Raging Black Flames. Is that it? It's the, what? Yeah, the Raging Black Flames, there you go. And so they've really done well on releasing a stupidly ridiculous broken weapon. And so, here's the thing, the developers are aware on how broken this weapon is. They're aware. to the point where they're having to make it so that certain modes, they are going to make it so that the west wind won't be as effective. That's how crazy of a good weapon this is. That there are game modes out there that need to be altered in a way so that the west wind doesn't have the upper hand. And so knowing that we've got that of a weapon being an SR, the next or the newest SR or SSR wind weapon releasing, I'm sorry, they need to pull it out of the bag. If they can pull off another Phoenix Solbo, then fair play to them. But right now they have given us a burst weapon that, for me personally, I'm dropping like 8 mil back to back. I mean, right now I'll put on gameplay because of course right now the Power of Destruction does have the wind attribute, and obviously the west wind is the perfect weapon to take to. And yeah, the burst damage, I've even gone out my way to completely max it out. On the skill level, I've maxed it out. It's that great of a weapon, and a weapon that obviously I would suggest you guys cater to and try and level up the skills if you can. But knowing that this is the weapon that we have for wind, and it's kind of obliterating all content, even regardless of, oh, this is an event and the attribute that is needed is light. Yeah, now we'll just take the west wind. We'll just take the west wind. That's how broken of a weapon this is, and that's what they've got to go up against. So taking all of that into consideration, I feel like something crazy is about to happen for the next weapon to drop that is going to be catering to the wind attribute. Because I'm telling you right now, if we get something along the line of the Scatty Pistol for the wind attribute, yeah, it's going to be a quick little one and done. Not exactly. Well, yeah, for me personally, it's going to be a one and done because I want an initial copy. But it's going to be a weapon that not many people will cater to, of course. I mean, at that point, you can then really focus on the Phoenix Solbo. So there's that. But it's better to be safe than sorry. And I know for a fact that the developers are going to be. I mean, here's the thing. They could release a weapon that could also furthermore support the west wind. So imagine a wind weapon that does a disgusting amount of damage, maybe in a consistent rate, who knows, or maybe there's a ton of buffs in here in hand, or maybe it provides you with like a crit damage buff and a crit rate buff, so that way that then correlates straight into the west wind shot coming in. Now that, I mean, well, technically, I mean, you know, that effectively does work. And again, that's keeping the line with the wind attribute weapons just being fully elevated, to be honest. So that could be a thing. But and through all of that, maximizing your pool for the best wind or potentially wind weapon, as well as the best fire weapon, all in one go. Again, that's you maximizing your tickets on pulling some crazy good weapons that could effectively be used in multiple situations, in multiple scenarios. If you look at how the west wind is working, if I had my Phoenix Solbo at like A3 or anything like that, I would be consistently using this weapon regardless of whatever the attribute is. That core damage, I would just be catering to that to hell and back. And so yeah, I'm curious to see. You know what, I would absolutely laugh my ass off if we get like a west wind 2.0 as an SSR weapon. How the hell, that would honestly destroy the game. But yeah, that's why you need to save. We've got a west wind currently right now that is handling business for the wind typing. We're about to get the first ever new west wind not west wind, the first ever wind attribute weapon in an SSR format. And you know, you best believe the developers are looking at the west wind and being like, right, we're gonna top that to get sales coming in.